I want to start with biodiversity. You're probably better known for what you've written and talked about on climate and energy, but you do talk about your trips to visit wild places and biodiversity hotspots at times, and I want to find out from you, why is protecting biodiversity important?
Well, you know, biodiversity has become one of the stepchildren of the whole kind of environmental movement. We all rightly, care about climate change and pollution, and clean air and clean water. But one of the challenges we also face today is the fact we are in the middle of a period of mass extinction, equivalent to the era when the meteor, hit the Yucatan Peninsula and clouded up all the air and killed all the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Conservation International estimates, I think we're losing one new species roughly every 20 seconds. Whoa. So we lost one new species, several new species since we began this interview.
Yes.
And that is because of unbridled development. And a lot of, I think, lack of awareness of not only the value of biodiversity for, the life of the plants and the forests, but, the science they can provide, but also, what would the world be like? What would the world be like without, lions and tigers and monkeys and birds? What would poets write about? Yeah. What would novelists write about? What would composers compose about without this incredible bounty of richness that we are now the stewards of? Yeah. And so we really need to build an ark. It seems to me we may be, Tripp, the first generation that actually will be called upon to save the last two. Mm-hmm. That we actually, it could be on our watch that the last two of some very important species come before us. And so my motto has always been on this subject that, when I grew up in Minnesota, you could, walk the same path, swim the same lake, ford the same stream. And you could do it now or you could do it later. Mm-hmm. But later is officially over. In the era we're in right now, whatever you're going to save, you better save it now because later will be too late.
Yeah. Well, a great deal of Earthjustice's work is protecting wild places and wildlife in the United States, somewhat internationally, but particularly in the United States. Are there wild places you particularly love in the United States?
I've actually probably been least exposed to, wild places in the United States, much less than the Pantanal in, southern Brazil, or the Guiana Shield in northern Venezuela, or some of the great wilds of Sumatra, which I've been able to visit with Conservation International and see. But what you're doing in this country is very important, because we were the progenitors of the national park system, thanks to Teddy Roosevelt, and that model then was picked up throughout the world. And so what we do in this country, the legal cases that Earthjustice wins here, the examples we set really scale. And I've always been a big believer that the impact we'll have on the world will come much more by modeling, by the examples we set, than it will by any legal, global legal regime. Yeah. And so when we set these examples, we, the United States, it has a huge resonance. So when Earthjustice wins a case here, to preserve biodiversity, to preserve the Clean Air and Clean Water Act, you may think, well, it's great for our country, but it has a lot broader resonance.